Good day, everyone. This is your man Myles with Real Estate 360, the podcast. How is everybody today? Well, listen, today's show is we're gonna talk about marketing, and we're gonna talk about marketing and kind of how things have shifted as of late from the way they used to be with a couple good buddies of mine at Gemini Buys. Okay, you might have seen them, at least one of them. I don't know. Spends a lot of time in the gym, spends a lot of time on social media, but we're going to check them out. We're going to see how they do their thing right after this. All right, everybody, we're back. Thank you for sticking with us. Listen, let me just go into the introduction because I don't want to waste a bunch of time in this one because I know that this is going to be a good talk. So first and foremost, I want to introduce you guys to Nick Mullins. This is Nick. Hey, Nick, how you doing today? You know, Nick is an American businessman. He's an American businessman. Can you believe it? Those things still exist, right? He's an entrepreneur.
This is my Wikipedia.
That's right. He's an entrepreneur and investor. And founder, one of the founders of Gemini Buys. He started flipping residential real estate with only a few $1,000s to his name, and within just a few years, he has, really built a portfolio containing both commercial and residential real estate, valued at well over, $1 million. I think several $1 million, right?
$7 million. Yes,
yeah,
sir.
yeah. I'm sorry. You said how many million?
It's somewhere around 3 or so right now.
That's cool. We're approaching 5 because we all know that right after 5 it goes to 10. So, there's no 6, 7.
Better.
That's exactly right. So we're going to be talking with Nick, and we also have his partner, Cody Hansen. So, Cody is a 42-year-old investor born in New Orleans. He grew up in Florida. He has a degree in design. Graphic design, that he doesn't use at all. He might pretend to do a thing here and there, but he got involved in the bar and restaurant business some time back, and decided that physical labor just wasn't in it for him. And he's done bars and restaurants from Atlanta to New Orleans, just all over the Southeast, really. And then eventually he found his way into real estate from a good friend of his. Also, as of late, he has been his side hustle is that of a supermodel, and and Cody, how did you get into supermodeling? I gotta know.
Just look at me, bro. I don't know. It just fell in my lap.
Just look. If there's a tier of supermodel, Cody's headed next year.
That's right. That's exactly right. So
I appreciate that. That made my day right there, man. That made my day.
Yeah, man. So I gotta ask, how long have you guys been involved in real estate?
Independently? Because we just started last year.
Yeah, independently. Because that collective knowledge, is what brought you guys together. The collective knowledge and the need based on the strengths of each individual. So, how long have you been in, and what is your strength, Nick?
Yeah, I was gonna say I'll do mine real quick. So I learned about anything about real estate around 2018. My brother is a real estate agent. He called me. He said, "Hey, we should buy this house. We're gonna fix and flip it." And I said, "Okay." So we did that. Long story short, we didn't make a lot of money on it. I think we made about $4,000 a piece. From there, I didn't really love the idea, so I just kind of put it on the back burner. Then I learned about wholesaling from a Bandit Sign. It was actually looking for buyers. So I was like, okay, maybe I'll look into this. Ultimately, it led to me learning what wholesaling was, and while we were still looking to do something in the real estate space, because it's my brother, we wanted to work together. So fix and flip was kind of what we were heading toward. And while we were fix and flipping and increasing our deals, he didn't want to know anything about wholesale. But I don't know why I was intrigued by it. So I looked deep into it, started trying it. I did my first wholesale deal probably in well, no, it was in 2018 when we did our first wholesale deal. 2019 did like 4 deals, and then 2020. No, I'm sorry, it's the other way. It was 2020 we did 4 deals. 2021 is when me and Cody really linked up, and that's when things blew up for our wholesale side.
Mm. Now that's what's up, man. And how about you,
Very
Cody?
short real estate career for me.
Hey, it doesn't have to take, and we talk about this all the time, man. You know, it literally does not have to take a person, 10 years to become a millionaire, right? Your story literally proves that. It doesn't take, that much time. It really just, all that really matters is the amount of effort you put into what you say you want, right? If you want it, you're gonna learn.
You got to know what game you're playing, because I've had businesses before that. So I will say about that, it's like nobody can just jump in and start excelling at business. If you have an idea of what business is, if you're good at it, if you know what you're doing, you're smart, you put the right people around you, you can jump into a lot of industries maybe and do well. But for some reason, real estate took off after that initial like kind of speed bump for me where I just wasn't really loving it. I also had a lot of personal things I had to kill my hungry entrepreneur that wanted to be doing a million things. And when I did that is when everything started going really well for me.
That focus matters. I tell people all the time.
Yeah.
That serial entrepreneur thing only works when you can delegate.
Yeah. And I believe you can only do one great thing at a time. If you can make it great, then you can delegate and then you can do something else.
Absolutely.
Great.
You got to build it first and then move on.
Yeah.
And you, Mr. Cody.
2018, I watched a good friend of mine in the motorcycle scene. I was flipping bikes at that time and still had just got out of the restaurant industry. And I was watching a good buddy of mine, Justin Ship, just murder it in wholesaling, what I thought was murdering it. And then so, I went to a local meetup, Renatus, with him. He invited me. Immediately the first time I got there, I realized that they were trying to sell a program, and that's not what I was really into. I wanted to learn. So he told me, hey, I went a couple more times and I said, this isn't for me. I'm not paying somebody 20 grand to learn this business. There's no guarantee. So YouTube University, I really just Max Maxwell, Sean Terry, Chris Voss, TTP, Brent Daniels. I just really, got into YouTube University, and I learned as much as I could about wholesaling. And then I jumped out there with Bandit Signs, pretty hardcore in 2019. Bandit Signs, people hate them, I love them. That's actually how I got my first deal, and it's actually how I met Nick. So for a Bandit Sign, right around the corner from where I lived, 8K. Matter of fact, Candace Briggs was the buyer on that one. I don't know. I'm sure y'all know her. Nick knows her definitely, but 8K, and I was like, off of a piece of paper and a sign, I just made $8,000, and it was in about 3 weeks. And then so I just really dove head first. I quit everything. I quit flipping bikes. I just really went hardcore into it. Nick called me up one day off of a Bandit Sign, and he's like, hey, let's meet up. We met at a local Starbucks, and then that's where we built our relationship from there. I went to Florida 2020 and did a couple of sub-2 deals. I didn't really know what I was doing. Bought some properties, or acquired them via wholesale, flipped them to end buyers. Actually became a licensed contractor in Florida with my brother. Started another company there, and then so we had a model where I would go find the deal and wholesale it to other investors, and then we would also provide the rehab. So I was kind of killing two birds with one stone. I was double-ended money there. That was nice. My brother was getting paid. I was getting paid. And that led me to discover that I was taken away from making a lot more money that I could have been growing in real estate, like via wholesaling and acquiring properties. And after I saw that, it took about a year for me to realize that. And then I just stepped back. I left Florida. I still do deals there, but I came back to Georgia, linked with Nick, and I was like, hey, let's grow this. And he was take
now,
over acquisitions.
but when you made that change, when you made that shift, and said, "Hey, I could be doing more. I could be doing better," was that because you were kind of splitting time between finding deals and fixing deals?
It was because I was on that roller coaster. 20 grand here, 5 grand here, 30 grand here, no grand here.
Hmm.
And I was getting, I even hit a 99K assignment fee. Crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I loved it. But in this business marketing, fast living, I lived 246 days that year in Marriott. It's not cheap.
Mm-hmm.
Thousands and thousands of dollars to hotels, gas, food. And so that roller coaster, I was like, I was helping my brother and I felt really good because I was trying to grow a family business. And in my heart, I felt good. But when I noticed that my bank account was depleting, I was putting out more than I was bringing in. And I got to a point to where I was like, oh, snap. I literally, I got down to like $5,000. I got 6 kids, a wife, and a mother-in-law. That is no money. From having, 80 grand, 100 grand, having nice amounts of money to nothing. And then I was like, I got to do something. And so I hopped in with Nick and we just literally started popping. And, we saw the business grow. We agreed to join each other. And I own Hanson Property Solutions, and I'm letting that go and just combining straight to Gemini. I need someone that can dispo because I hate dispo. And he needs someone that can, handle acquisitions. Not that he doesn't.
Yeah,
do it.
we fit each other's personality perfectly.
Yeah, literally, he can dispo. He's dispo daddy. No lie. This is crazy. And I'm Cody the closer. I'll get him in there, and once I start running my mouth and letting them know what we can do to solve their problems and our value proposition and how we can help them, it's over with. And once I build that rapport, we keep going. I'm closing deals right now. I've been working on for 2 years.
Yep.
So that it's in that follow up, but we merged and everything really is coming together. We're growing together, maturing together in the business, and
so
I'm ready to see what the future holds.
That's right, man. So it brings me to my next question, and I guess the topic, of what we're doing here today, and that's marketing. Marketing, and all of the stuff that goes with marketing, because it's just not making calls, sending text message, bandit signs. I mean, there's a lot more that goes into it today, and it's a lot different today than it was 4 years ago, right? I mean, we're just going to, it's totally different. I mean, forget 10 years ago, I mean, that 10 years ago is like, the 1900s, the early 1900s, right? So, I mean, things have just changed and grown so much in the last 5 years that you still have a lot of, real estate, quote unquote, real estate gurus out here that are teaching you, hey, I'm going to teach you how to wholesale. Hey, I'm going to teach you how to fix and flip. Hey, I'm going to teach you subject to. And all that is fine and dandy. All that's great. I love it. But you can do none of that until you can market for the deal. And you can't build a business until you can consistently market, right? So, what does that look like for you guys in the way your business operates? Because I know, that some things have changed.
Yeah, so our marketing's actually an interesting story because we probably, just like you talked about the gurus that teach I guess like it'd be prehistoric now.
Yeah.
But because of our different personalities and the leads that are generated by a different piece of marketing are interesting. Like we talked about RVMs earlier, and I never liked them. We never did them as a company. I did them as an individual for about 2 months. Kind of noticed that more people were calling the missed call back versus the actual voicemail.
Yeah.
And I just didn't love it. And it felt to me like it was going to be regulated pretty quickly. So if I see something like that, I'm not really a fan. Bandit Signs I never really liked either. But the person that it attracts it's a different type of person, right? And it's a different type of motivation. So in the beginning, I think everybody kind of hops to those cheaper tactics, and we did do that. So, and you're also talking about as a company, you're talking about 18 months. or so of like what we've been doing. So we move fast. We started with some Bandit Signs. We've gotten deals from Bandit Signs. We are all cold call right now. So we're like 90% of our deals are generated from cold call and SMS. And I put those together. I stack them together. We have a team who they just focus on cold calling and SMS. I do see the regulation in SMS. I see how SMS is kind of getting throttled back.
Yeah.
For about a month, we spent, a whole month getting. We were blocked by AT&T, the entire carrier. Like no SMS is going through.
And it's crazy when we're talking about that SMS. We were talking before, and I'm just going to say it. We're spending. I don't even know anymore how much we're spending on telephone numbers. I mean, just to stay.
Just numbers?
Yeah, just numbers, just to stay ahead of the cancellations.
I just bought 50 yesterday.
You see, then you
know
my
have a hard time with this one, but it really will save you. For every agent, we buy like 30 numbers.
Yes. Yeah,
every 2 months.
And I'm at the 50 numbers. I'm at the 50. So for every caller, there's 50 numbers, and then I'm only doing. I limit it to. I know how many people are going to be on, every day, and they know how many text messages they're going to send out, but we're not sending out more than 1,000 text messages a day. And I know that there are a lot of people, well, the few people that actually do this and talk about it and potentially teach it will tell you just keep going till they tell you to stop, just keep going. And I'm just not but it's pushing the envelope like that gets to what you're talking about in terms of regulation.
Yeah.
I don't want to complicate it too much, but if they're focused, if they're looking at their numbers and their deliverability, it's kind of a fallacy to tell people to keep going, because you're constantly, it's like walking through the mud with like some boots that are loose and you're losing it, and just keep on trucking. That's fine, but your coverage is getting worse and worse. Like we're losing so many. I mean, we went from 90% deliverability to 70 to 60 to we're like, and you still get charged, and I know it's a fraction of a cent. You still get charged for a message sent. So, we look at all this stuff, and that's when we started to see like, oh, okay, AT&T blocked us as a company, the whole carrier. So some other ones, it seems they're not as heavy on the regulation just yet, but what they are heavy on is messages that are repeating, that are saying certain buzzwords. And Batch does a good job of saying, hey, keep these words out of these messages. And plus, get creative and try to offer solutions. The idea of blasting people on a list is kind of, I guess you could say there's got to be a better way anyway. So we do more cold calling. I'm on the same page as you, Jason. We do about 1,000 messages a day. A lot of people I know do 30,000, 10,000, like ramp it up. But now I'll just say, basically it's like we're doing just massive text blasting, and every day or so it's just going to get less and less deliverability.
That's right.
Until maybe the time goes by and that all the bragging you did about SMS, like, man, we were getting all these deals, they're still slowly coming in. And next thing you know, you're out of it. You're just jacked up, and you got to start a whole new LLC, and you got to register new numbers, and you got to do it all over again.
That's right. And I think that, pardon me, by kind of throttling, because you can see it. You mentioned it already. I mean, just because you're pushing out more doesn't mean you're getting more, right? And you have to be on top of that. And how many messages do you have in your text message campaign? I have 30 in there so that I can rotate.
I think we have like 20 something.
Yeah. So that's important as well. And to be a creative writer, and not using and write. Batch does do a great job and say, hey, here are some words, here are some phrases. I even see people use, numeric numbers instead of the letter in hopes of missing out on the algorithm.
Don't give away our secrets. Don't you tell them how to spell offer. We're all doing it. Hey, that's a key right there. If people are focused on that one, they'll figure it out. I think we're on the same page.
Again, it's creative writing, right? It's I don't care how you cut it. It's creative writing. So
there's no on here. Oh, and there's a zero. But you know what? To your point, though, you're right. I mean, the gurus, they'll tell you about, go text blast, go blast, 1,000. Oh, I got a deal. Oh, well, now blast 10,000. It's like maybe that 1,000 got you a deal, but that 10,000 maybe gets you a deal. So you really got to focus. You got to look at the numbers on everything. So that's why with marketing, we initially kind of jumped in with everything: Bandit Signs, direct mail, a little bit of PPC later now. We didn't have a website for a long time, but anyway, what else have we done? We've done door knocking, everything. If it exists, we've done it. But right now, it is SMS, it is cold calling, and I'd probably say it's about 80% cold calling, and that seems to be working pretty well. But since we are talking about marketing, I do sit and think a lot about we got to get more into PPC. And even direct mail more so, because these are things that are not as regulated as far as they're not as regulatable. They're not going to be, I don't think they're going to stop us from sending mail.
No.
PPC also scares me a little bit because Google can just say, you can't market to homeowners. Like, not like a desperate homeowner.
Yeah, but even then, they're going to be, if they throw, us real estate investors out, they're going to have to really rewrite laws to make that happen, because then you're going to say, hey, lenders, you can't market to people that need money. Why would you possibly do that? No way.
Well, the good thing is real estate, we have the banks on our side. We have big companies. Real estate's it's a great business model. So there's a lot of big hitters here. And that part of it's true. But I believe that PPC and direct mail is the right direction for us to head. We're kind of hedging it. We'll have our SMS, we'll have our cold calling, and we'll expand all that too. It's working,
Now,
and
I want
plus
to go
it's inbound versus outbound.
For sure.
Some leads you get inbound, you don't get outbound.
That's exactly right. And PPC is a huge one that so many people are lacking. And then again, that's bringing it forward into, modern day marketing techniques and tactics. And there's a few different ways that you can go about doing that. One of the simplest is, and most affordable, to be honest with you, is whatever market you're in, have a commercial, a 30-second, a 60-second commercial, and just let it run. I don't care if you're spending, $5 a day, $10 a day, $20 a day, whatever it is. It's a lot cheaper than putting it on television, and you're going to talk to specifically who you want to talk to, because, Cody knows, we spent a few years ago, we were spending anywhere between $5,000 and $10,000 a month on television commercials. But think about it. Just think about it for a second. When you really put some thought into it, you're like, okay, I'm going to play this commercial in these areas. How many houses do you buy that you're buying from the actual person that lives there? Yes, you're going to buy some, that's for sure. But, if you're marketing in a heavily, rental market, because it's turning, you're marketing to the renter. And then you're begging the renter to please call your landlord and give them my number. That's not, because they might be in, Arizona, California, wherever they are collecting rent. They're not seeing your commercial. So PPC really helps. No, they're not. So PPC, listen to me, PPC.
That ain't gonna get you no deal.
But I do recommend PPC.
Yes. So, for me, we're pulling in the markets that we're in. It depends on the market. We'll spend anywhere between $20 and $50 a day, right? And those are bringing, like in Atlanta market, and that's where I'm at. We're spending $30 a day, and it brings us 20, 25 leads a month, and those leads will give us 2, maybe 3 immediate deals. Not the follow-up deals, but immediate deals. So when you're looking at return on investment, $30 a day, 30 days, $900, It's cheaper than a direct mail campaign. It's absolutely cheaper than a regular commercial, and you're going to get 3 deals. And every deal is different, but on average, our wholesale deals are about $6,700, right? Not talking about the home run or the grand slam, but on average, we're right around $6,800. So just looking at our average, we're getting, if we just got 2 deals, we had a $900 ad spend to make, 13.4. That's not, that's a wonderful, wonderful return. And then there's the follow-up and the follow-up and the follow-up, which goes to the next thing. I mean,
that's
Cody,
where all the money's at.
That's exactly it. Cody brought it up in the beginning of this. I mean, so many people, new investors, even existing investors, to be honest with you, people that have been in the game for a while, they'll buy a list, run through it one time with whatever they do, whether it's cold calling, direct mail, and then buy another list.
Yeah, I didn't get a deal.
Exactly. And there's no follow-up. There's no follow-up at all when there's people that say no to an offer, or people that say I'm not ready yet. There's so many things that say, please call me next month, or please follow up with me, month over month, quarter over quarter. Those things are vital to the success of your business. I mean, how do you have a business if you don't follow up? And then if you're just looking at, your regular sales process, not just in real estate, but just in general, I mean, you've got to touch people 12 or 13 times before they buy from you. So why is it any different when you're asking them to sell something other than their pain points and their need to sell? Because, of course, that's a real thing. Following up is significantly important, and having a good CRM in place, having a good processes in place, right? Those things are going to matter. They absolutely matter. In the old days, what my process was? I had a file, those stacked file things, on my desk.
Oh, yeah.
And I had 12 file folders. 12 file folders in them. January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. And when I was talking to people on my property information sheet, I'm writing everything down. Got it? Okay, I'll follow back up with this one in a month. And then they go into the April one,
Wow.
And that was
yeah, that's rough.
That was in the old days. And the old days were 7 years ago, 8 years ago.
Oh, we're spoiled. I obsess about that stuff, though. So the systems and stuff are pretty tight. We can pull up a lead right now in our CRM, and we can see how many times. We actually do this in team meetings. We'll show, especially the new folks, we'll be like, look, Cody's been working this lead for 18 months. He's touched the guy, maybe this isn't typical, 40 times. They've had between a text message, a call, a missed call, a returned call, like any time there's an interaction between the two.
Yeah.
And on average, it's probably closer to like 18 to 20 something. But some of these people, here's a good one for people. I guess if there's people out there they're listening to this to see what do I need to be doing in real estate, I got 2 pieces of advice. Don't follow up so that we can make more money. And if you actually do want to make money, anybody who tells you you're going to get deals really fast, it's very rare. Most of our deals they're seasoned. They're in there cooking up. They need to be touched. They can't just sit there. They need to be touched. And you got to think about it. Think about it as more of like a bunch of dating, and you're trying to find that one you're going to marry.
Yeah.
And you just marry a lot of deals because they're not going to trust you after hey, let's do it. Let's go. You ready?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
You
and I think
build that trust.
I think that's vitally important. In my training or coaching or mentoring, whatever, I'm telling people, you got to build up your pipeline. Yeah, you're going to get a deal here and there, but if you're new to this and you're coming in, give yourself 90 days. Because you have to build up your pipeline. You've got to build up your pipeline. And you know what? Great. You don't have a bunch of money to buy, several lists. Well, you don't need it. That one list can take you 5 or 6 months or longer for it to really cycle through your company, right? So if you're new, buying the list or getting the list is one of the smallest expenses that you're going to incur, But, I use batch leads. right? So if you just went with the basic version of batch leads, that's going to give you 10,000 leads a month. You know,
Just like
10,000.
100 something bucks.
Yeah, it's going to be like $100, you know, with the skip tracing and so on and so forth. And if you have a job, I'm telling people, you know, here's who you need to go to get a VA that's a qualified VA. If you have a job and you can't spend 4 hours or 5 hours on the day, let's spend $20 a day on this cold caller over here, and basically they're setting appointments for you. Okay, and you just go from there. You go from there, and that's literally, you know, lunch. You know, because most people are going out to eat almost every day. You know, maybe twice a day. You know, Cody has to have his Starbucks every day. You know, what's that, like $8,
Cody
right?
gets deals at that Starbucks.
Yeah, that truck, man, that truck is wrapped. I'm going through that drive-through. Everybody and their mother sees me up there.
That's right, man. But it matters,
That's
though.
another good point, Jason.
And that's part of marketing.
Alternative advertising.
Yeah.
He's got a truck wrap. It's brought us 2 of our biggest deals ever.
That's right. It matters.
A massive one.
Hey, how many $100,000 days have you had?
Days?
Yeah.
To break it down like that, there's been a few, but we went from, I mean, we could go over it all. We went from, our deal flow, it blew up so fast. It would go from like a couple of deals a month to, and I'll be honest, the way that our deals kind of work, and this might have a lot to do with how Cody is just kind of really good at finding, I don't know, I'll just say it. He was a chef, right? He's good at finding juicy deals.
That's right.
Like this guy, our average deal size, for example, is around 32,000 right now.
That's
so,
solid.
I mean, in our pipeline, this for February, we did like a 30K, 70K, like 3 or 4 8Ks.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of how our pipeline looks at any given time. And we're not going to go into it, but he's got a few he's cooking up in there that are, you know, 70, 80, 100 plus.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy. Now, I will say this, a lot of those also, and yes, we do have 80, 90, 100K assignments, but a lot of those right now have been, since we started to merge toward, look, the market's hot, we have the money, we're taking stuff down, we're doing wholesales, we're doing fix and flips, and those are really.
And explain to the listeners explain to them what the wholesales are.
So a wholesale, what we're doing with a wholesale is we see a property that basically you would assign. We judge it based on the condition. It doesn't need a ton of work. It's in pretty good shape. You know, maybe it needs paint, carpet, something like that. And instead of just assigning it to somebody making our 10, 15, whatever, and letting them go make the 30, 40, we're just taking it down and we're putting it, I'm going to be honest with you, right now in this market, all but a few of them, we're putting them right back on the market, almost as they were. Maybe we'll go in there and do some cleanup, do some carpet and paint, stuff like that.
That's right.
That's the wholesale.
Yeah, you know, we call it slap the ugly off of it. That's what we call it.
Yeah, slap the. Yeah, but make sure if people are going to do this, make sure they really are 3 different things: the assignment, obviously, the wholesale, and the wholesale. Don't go take, or I'm sorry, and the fix and flip.
Right.
Don't go taking down stuff that needs real work that's not going to list, thinking you're about to do a wholesale.
Yeah.
So you really got to know what you're looking for.
That's the truth. You know, it's a real deal. So I'm doing one similar to that. And for me, this was a driving for dollars thing, right? So I was driving down the street, and I was in a really nice community. There's a house that is, I mean, there was stuff falling out of the garage and falling out of the front door, literally. And it has a gate. So the gate it looked like someone rammed through the gate, and it was just wide open. So I did a U-turn. I was like, something happened here. You know, I need to see what.
You may have identified some motivation there.
I definitely identified some motivation. So long story short, you know, I go back, look at the house, and, you know, typical to us real estate investors, we drive up in the driveway, we get out of our truck, and we see what door is open. You know, we're going to look through windows. You know, we knock first. I mean, we're respectable. There could be someone in there, right? But this house was absolutely trashed, man. I mean, you can imagine. You can imagine what happened in there. You know, my thinking is it was a cookhouse, to be honest with you. right? But it
yeah.
wasn't. That was my initial thought, but it wasn't. It wasn't. They were using it as an illegal kennel.
He's about to list it.
I am. It's what we're doing right now, man.
It was not a cookhouse.
It was not a cookhouse. They were raising dogs in the house.
I've seen
house. Beautiful house.
I've seen grow houses just like that, where people have this beautiful $500,000 home.
Yep.
And then you go inside, and there's tubing and venting and hydroponics, and they're cutting through floors.
Yep.
And they're
That's crazy, man.
We had a house like that. It was it was way before like I even thought about recording anything or looking into it. I was a complete noob in a house, and this lady really quickly, she brought us into the house. She's like, what do you think? What would you pay? And I'm like getting very confused walking through it, because throughout all the closets, for example, if you opened a closet in the house, maybe in that central location, there was like hydroponic tubing and stuff running throughout the whole entire house. And I was just like, it didn't take long. In the shower, there were clippings of marijuana.
Yeah.
There were it was just very suspect. And I was just like, what did you say you do?
Exactly, right?
And looking back at it, it's hilarious. But at the time, it was actually very weird.
I mean, we run into a lot of different types of situations as real estate investors. And I think that, most people, someone needs to really write the memoirs of a real estate investor, because it is, the stories that we could tell are just, they're just...
You're right. There's a better way to tell some of these stories. There's some interesting stuff out here.
It's just crazy. But okay. So, we talked a lot about marketing and processes and things like that, but what kind of tools? We talked about batch leads. I think it's an absolute fantastic tool for people. It's really easy, a comprehensive learn. Batch leads is something that I recommend to the people that I work with. But there are other things out there. There are a ton of CRMs. That's a question that we get all the time. What CRM should we use and how do we use it? And to be honest with you, there's no, from my experience, there's no one service that I could say, hey, go here, because just because of the way people are going to use it, right?
So that's what I was going to say. It's a tough answer.
Yeah. Then what do you guys use as CRMs? Or as your
Cody
CRM?
had just asked what you use, Jason.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, say that again?
I just asked what CRM you're using.
I was still with Podio.
Oh.
So when Cody and I got together, he walked into, I'm going to tell you just real quick what I'm good at. Systems, processes, getting leads, just putting together that stuff. Cody walked in to me like, have you ever seen that picture from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, where he's got the board up and he's a complete disaster?
Yeah.
Cody walked into that and he's like, what's going on? Let's do some deals. And I'm just like, I've got all these leads, I've got the system. And it was a mess. And it needed someone who could just, fill that void and really get deals closed. So we were using Podio, because again, if you watch any video on the internet, you're going to start using Podio. It's just the way that it is. And it served a purpose. It was cool. And I spent a lot of time building out on Podio. I spent a lot of time. And if it wasn't me spending the time, it would have been a lot of money spent. But everybody agrees that it was a pretty solid build. It worked, but it didn't do a few things that we wanted to see. So for me, and just like you're saying, I hate answering the question for somebody, because it's like, what CRM? If it doesn't work for them, they're going to hate you, because that is the lifeblood of the follow-up, which is the deal. So we use a CRM called Resimply, but the way that we started using it is we identified what we want the CRM to do exactly for us. And everybody has to identify what they want the CRM to do for them. What we wanted it to do, obviously, somewhere to contain all the leads under a status, so we know what they're doing. We want to know what's next, so we needed some tasks. But again, everything does this. What was really important is we wanted to be able to see and hear all of our communication with that lead. So the one that we use, Resimply, has a built-in dialer or call system built in. Every SMS, every phone call, it's all recorded. You can listen to them at 2x. If you just want to hear it real fast, 3-minute call, listen to it in a minute and a half. All the messages, you can call them. We have virtual people on our team too. So the cool thing is it's a dialer. It's a phone system. They can pick it up and call or text, email, whatever, all through the system.
It sounds also like
and
it's a
I'll go
little
in-
bit. It sounds a little bit also like, because you mentioned that you can assign tasks. Did I hear you correctly there?
Yeah.
So it's
you can assign
also
tasks to different people.
project management as well. So
Matter of fact, you should probably take a look at it, and I'll give you. We can do a stream or whatever if you want. I can show you how it works. I actually, when you said systems and what tools are you using, I literally pulled up my income statement for the past 2 months. So I'm looking at all the tools that I pay for because I wanted to tell you, everybody exactly what we're using.
yeah,
It does all my accounting. It just like QuickBooks. I go in every couple of weeks or every week, and I fill in, what this transaction was, the vendors, everything. It tracks the commission. It really has a built-in, it's a built-in accounting, financial. And I can actually, listen to this, Jason, this is pretty cool. I can take that deal, 123 Main Street, with the $10,000 assignment and the $2,000 commission here, say acquisition commission, disposition commission. I can take the lockbox that we bought. I can take, the HOA letter, whatever it may be if we bought it or whatever, and put it all under that property, and it'll show me per property what our actual profit was. All in that system.
yeah. See, now that is.
It also does list stacking.
Oh, that's great because the list stacking is so vitally important. I mean, we talked about that before, but that is a very good service. And for people that are getting situated to have, because it's so much easier when you can have so many things just in one place, right? It gets really convoluted when you've got,
you'll have
5
15 different softwares.
Yeah, it really gets convoluted in that way, and so that works out really well because again, your project management and there's all type of different ways that you can define that, especially if you have employees or VAs, contractors, whatever it is, you're going to want to be able to share a certain amount of information with that individual or with that group of individuals. So project management is something that I absolutely, wholeheartedly believe in. Monday is a great one for that as well, but it's not going to have all of the tools that you're talking about because it's not really geared towards that, right? It's geared towards.
This is built specifically for real estate investors.
Exactly. So, those are fantastic things, but you find people like, because I'm a guy that's kind of segmented in that manner. So I've got, this here and that there and that there with knowing that I want to pull it all together, and I'm constantly looking for ways,
But
solutions.
It's scary, right?
Yeah, because you got to change everything up.
One solution that pulls them all together also doesn't do any of them very well.
Right. That's
so that
true.
can be scary too.
That is true.
So, and I'll be honest, it does everything. I don't want to say good enough. It does everything pretty good. So it works.
Yeah.
Well, we'll just say that it works.
That's right. We've done a commercial for him. We've got to get an endorsement fee for you now.
I know the owner. He loves me at this point because I had so much criticism. I had so much feedback.
Yeah.
We Zoom every month actually. So
that's pretty cool.
My input is definitely it's being delivered over there, and I have a discount code, but I don't want to push all that or anything. Again, CRM, do your own research, know what you want it to do, and good luck.
That's right, guys. And with that, I don't want to run too long. So, guys, I want to thank you for being on the show. My listeners are really going to get some good value out of this particular content because it is key right now. I've got a whole marketing movement going on as we speak, and it's the one thing that I believe anyway, having been in the industry for so long, having been in the educational aspect of the industry for so long, it is the one thing that our industry has not embraced as such of an important thing.
As gospel.
Yeah, because it starts there, man. It's the very beginning. It starts there, and it has to be talked about. So for you guys that are listening, make sure you listen to this again. I'll make sure that we have contact information for these guys. If you want to get more information about Gemini buys, you can get that. talk to the guys. As always, we like to share good information for you. And yeah, we will put your link for Resimply in the description of this for anyone that may want to take advantage of that. Or at very least look into it to see if it works for you, and just go from there. So thank you so much for watching the Real Estate's 360 show. This is your man Myles, and I'll see you guys next week. Peace.
Thanks, Jason.
Always good, Jason.